There he is.
Hey, buddy.
There he is. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. This is my first IG Live, I think. I don't think I've done, I may have done one years ago. I don't recall, but so this is new territory.
Well, I'm glad I could help with that.
You always do.
Yes. First and foremost, thank you so much also for taking the time to join the isolation series.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, I've done a lot of these since the pandemic itself started with a myriad of different people, and I needed to bring it down a couple pegs. So, of course, I invited you on
Good,
today.
good, good. Set that bar low, man. Set that bar low.
Correct. First and foremost, before we dive into the meat of the conversation, as it were, how is the vibe specifically in your neighborhood and where you are immediately? Because
Uh,
obviously in the United States, it's really interesting right now with the spikes and everything else.
yeah, interesting is a good word for it. We're kind of moving backwards, so it's a little depressing. Things are closing down. I think there's just a mandate now in West Hollywood to enforce under penalty of a fine, wearing masks. So it's sad that we've come to this state that we weren't able to collectively come together and just kind of nip this in the bud a little bit. But we'll get through it eventually. It's sadly a little bit more difficult than we anticipated, but we'll get through it.
Yes. Now, I want to jump into something that you and I are both very, very familiar with, and that is the entertainment business. You and I have been
Mm.
very fortunate enough to make a living and be part of the entertainment business for a long, long time.
Hmm.
My question to you is, how do you think this whole situation has sort of changed the landscape of our business as we know it? Because you and I had this conversation the other day, and I think that it's going to be a long, long while still until we are able to get back on set with
Hmm.
with the crew and the fellow castmates the way that we knew it for so many years. What do you think our business is going to look like moving forward?
It's honestly it's just speculation at this point. I think everybody's hoping for the best, but I think we're all very apprehensive. I've spoken to different people at all levels of the industry, from executives to directors, producers, actors, and certainly my team, and everyone has very different opinions of it. Everyone is moving ahead and trying to remain positive, but I think we are all fully aware that it's a very difficult and very tenuous situation, and that things could change on a dime. So I don't know. Personally, I'm a little skeptical as to how we're going to get through production without major interruption, um, especially considering the state of things. But maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe people will come up with some sort of system that'll be safe and we'll be able to continue all the way through to the end. But it's left to sort of to be seen, I guess. I think things are starting to slowly roll out as of maybe next month. And so we'll see how the first few productions fare.
Do you have a message for people in general right now that are big fans of our productions, whatever our productions happen to be? Now, mind you, I'm still questioning why some people enjoy your work as much as they do, but that's neither here nor there. Um,
You're lucky you're so charming. You're lucky you're so charming.
right, right.
No, a message to who? To people in the industry?
No, no, just like to the fans and stuff. Because as much as it's difficult for us in the industry, it's infinitely hard for the fans too, because they expect their favorite show to come back, like it always does, and
Yeah.
things like that. And unfortunately, new content, for the reasons that you've already outlined, will be very, very few and far between for the next several months, in my opinion, at least, and only time will tell. But
Yeah.
based on intelligence or lack thereof in the United States right now, I don't see it coming back in a timely manner.
There's very likely we'll have like certainly there'll be a lack of new production, obviously. I mean, that's unavoidable. There are people who are definitely trying to push the envelope. I mean, there's productions moving to Europe and Australia, New Zealand, and places that have been able to address the pandemic in a more effective way. But there's going to be definitely a major slowdown. But to fans, I mean, there's never been a better time to sit through a pandemic, so to speak. I mean, you've got endless amount of streaming opportunities and channels, and I mean, the amount of content that we have to siphon through is endless, seemingly. It will come to an end at some point, but I think we have enough to keep ourselves entertained for the time being. So I think this is, certainly not the time of having to go out to a Blockbuster and find a video to keep yourself occupied for 2 hours. We're very fortunate right now.
Was that a Blockbuster video reference?
Yes, it was.
What is this, 1998?
I think there's still one. I think there's still one Blockbuster in the world, and it's in Oregon, in Bend, Oregon, of all places, a place I love, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I would be remiss if I also did not ask you, throughout your career and everything like that, what would you say, as seen by Sasha Roiz perspective, are your top 3 acting moments throughout your career as of right now?
Well, I mean, Grimm, obviously, because it was just such a wonderful, surprising success, and was so long-standing that I got an opportunity to experience what it's like to work over the course of countless episodes and develop a character. And that was a real gift and a wonderful opportunity and a great experience. Suits was a fun one. That was a really fun for me because I tend to play so many murderous villains, and so to actually play just like a heartbroken, lovesick kind of guy who's just just nice was a wonderful change of pace. Caprica was a show I really enjoyed as well. I think it was a cutting edge character, and I think it was a very intelligent show with an incredible pedigree of a cast, and I was very proud of the work I did in that, and I thought yeah, that was an important character at an important time. So those are a few of them.
I will say that one of my favorites, without getting into the specifics of it, was the one comment that your mom made to you that I will never ever forget.
Yeah.
And that to me is my favorite, being your friend, and things like that. Well, let's just say that your mom did not hold back on thinking what she thought in that particular instance.
Yeah, I mean, the short version is, I'm from a Jewish background, and I was auditioning this is many years ago, auditioning for a role of a World War II Holocaust movie in which I was supposed to play one of the downtrodden, victimized Jews, and I had to speak some Yiddish, which my parents speak, so I went to them and asked them for some assistance, and after sort of performing it for them a few times, my mom just took a pause and said, "Yeah, I see you more as a Nazi." And so, which is, my mom is a very honest person. So that's definitely a funny memory.
Yes. Now, I know that you are new to the whole cameo scene as well, and you recently joined Cameo, and because of that, you were able to raise $10,000 for a great cause of giving out, I believe it was 2,000 meals a day or something like that.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk a little bit about that for a sec?
Well, I was just looking for some way to assist and be of some assistance, some help in this really difficult time, and we're kind of trapped in our homes at this point. So I thought that perhaps the Cameo app, which allows fans and some of the performers and public figures that they follow to interact, you could send them videos and so on. That'd be a nice platform to raise some money for a charity that I feel very strongly about here in Los Angeles, which is called Project Angel Food, and they deliver meals to individuals in high risk. So people who are very reliant on these meals that are specially catered to all of them. And in a time like this, I mean, these individuals went from high risk to extreme risk and needed all the help they can get. And the charity, unfortunately, was not able to do their yearly fundraisers. So they were kind of caught off guard, as many charities were. So it was a chance to kind of give back to the community and also engage fans who I'm sure are equally bored and frustrated sitting at home. So I think it kind of worked out for everybody.
Okay. Now I get everybody out of here with the same question that I'm about to pose to you, because you're no different than everybody else that I've had on here. And that is, do you have a Spence moment or a Spence memory that sticks out to you that you would like to share with the people? Because it's one thing for me to talk about our friendship. It's a whole other thing to get the other side's perspective when they come on here and things like that. So do you have a story that sticks out? I know most of them we can't really talk about, but
You mean you and I?
yes.
Oh, well, I recall when I was up, I was still filming Suits, I think, at the time, wasn't I? When the NBA playoffs were taking place, where there was the Raptors were in the finals and Toronto Raptors were in the finals, and we were desperately trying to find a place to watch the game. And you would think it would be no problem, considering, you know, Toronto is in the finals for the first time, and yet we found like obstacle after obstacle at every place we went to. Primarily not being able to get in because we didn't have reservations, or
No. The biggest issue was my wheelchair.
Your wheelchair was an issue in one place, or maybe a couple places. You're right.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. But we ended up sitting at a couple of different places, neither of which was really spectacular, I think, or really designed for viewing.
Ladies and gentlemen, to put it in perspective for you, Sasha and I posted up at a bar, literally a bar here in Toronto. After looking for 3 or 4 different places, we ended up sitting at the end of a bar in a local hotel here in Toronto, and they had one TV in the entire bar.
With no sound, I think, right?
No, no, there was sound. But why don't you describe to the people the horrible tone in color of the TV that we had to deal with at that time?
I'm trying to think which hotel, because we ended up at 2 different hotels at one point. I think it was just such a clusterfuck. I mean, it was just, pardon my language, but it was. But we got through it. But for some reason, my hotel room wouldn't even have the game, so we were just, we were just running ragged all over town.
Yeah,
but Raptors won, which was great.
Yes. And after the Raptors game, we went back to your hotel, and there's a bar right at the bottom of your hotel that was there, and it was just us and the staff, and we were watching the Trailblazers playoff game in the West.
That was my other team, yeah.
Yes.
I know, they were cleaning the bar as you and I were sitting there. The saddest 2 people in Toronto that night. The saddest 2 men in all of Toronto.
Correct. But I will say, you know, you never once have made my wheelchair a thing. From day one, we have clicked. I don't know why, because I'm way more attractive and charismatic.
Well, that's why I'm riding your coattails.
Yeah, quite literally, because I can't walk. But I really do appreciate you coming on, and more importantly, I appreciate your friendship. I mainly do it because of Bernie, let's be honest, because Bernie is the man.
He sends his regards from the corner of the house over there. He's fast asleep. He's got no time for this.
Wonderful. And for those of you who are watching this and are on Sasha's feed, feel free to click on my name up in the corner and follow, because I have different people like Sasha come on, like I said. And it's a fun thing, because we all have to keep ourselves entertained as possible and try and make a difference as much as we can. And you, despite my best efforts, are still one of my good friends, and I love you, buddy.
Love you too, pal.
And thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure, pal. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. That is the one and only Sasha Roiz, and this has been another edition of the